Now, what are switch series? So let's see or talk about switch series. We have three type of series or in switches like access layer switches, distribution layer switches, and core layer switches. We will see difference between these series or these layers. But now just to see the series for access layer switches. So here is access layer switches. Series will be 1900 series. Cisco 1900 switch. After that we have 2950 Cisco switch. After that we have 2960 series. So, and if you talk about distribution layer switches, that we have fixed switches and modular switches. So, what is fixed switches? In fixed switches, you will see we have only fixed interfaces. You cannot modify those interfaces, but in modular switches, we can see we can modify interfaces in those switches. So in fixed switches we have 3550 switch, 3560 switch, 3570 switch, and if you talk about modular switch then we have 4500 switch and 5500 switch. Now it's time to talk about core layer switches. So what is core layer? We will see. Now if we talk about core layer switches series, then we have 6500 series switch. So here are the type of series. Many friends were asking that please tell me about the series of switches. So here are the series of switches. Cisco switches support three type of switching method to understand data, to forward data, to limit data. So we have first type stored and forward, and second type cut through, and third one is fragment free. So now we have to talk about stored and forward. Now the question is what is stored and forward? So this is basic mode of switching. When you will do switching, so this will be the basic mode, and switch stores the entire frame into memory and performs CRC. What is CRC? We are going to see, and CRC means cyclic redundancy check. Check to ensure the frame is not corrupted. It will check the frame that I am getting to forward or to work on it, is it corrupted or not. So it will check in this method. And one thing that we have to remember is it stores entire frame into memory and performs CRC. A frame less than 64 byte. If a frame has a size 64 byte or less than and greater than 1518 byte, that will be called invalid frame. Only valid frames are processed, invalid frames are dropped. What is the meaning of it? It will only work on greater than 64 byte frames and less than 1518 byte frames. It has some limitation to work on it, and it has more latency. More latency means because it is doing this task, that's why it has more latency. So here is the stored and forward method, and let's see another method. What is cut through method? Let's see. Switch reads only first 6 bytes of frame that each destination MAC address. In cut-through method, switch only read the 6 byte of frame and in which it see only MAC address to find or to reach the destination. As there is no CRC cyclic redundancy check, the corrupted frames are also forwarded. It don't check or it don't do CRC in cut through method. So that's why you can see here it has fastest method of switching because it don't check about invalid or valid frames. It only read 6 byte and forward it to the destination. So that's why it is fastest method of switching. Invalid frames are also processed by cut through method. So this is the best method to use in the switching. And now let's see the next method. Now see fragment free switching method. So what is fragment free switching method? How it work? Let's see. This is the best method of switching. How it is best method? Switch checks only 64 byte of frame for error. It check first or only 64 byte of your frame. To check error in that packet, it process only that frame that has 64 byte valid. If any frame has 64 byte valid, then this process or this method will allow that frame to forward or to reach destination. Any frame less than 64 byte is called a runt. You have to remember this thing that if you have any frame that has less than 64 byte, then it will be called runt. And this frame is invalid. That frame will be called invalid frame. Now the next thing that we have to also remember or that we have to learn is it has low latency. It has low latency, that's why it is the best method for switching and that's why we are using in our network. So here were the three switching method in switching and now see the next thing or the next topic of switching. Now what is VLAN or virtual LAN? We have some benefit to use VLAN in switching. We are talking about switching. So what are the benefit? VLAN divides a single broadcast domain into multiple broadcast domain. We have seen that if we have one switch, then we have only one broadcast domain. What will happen in that case? When we will forward a data, when we will send a data from a PC to another PC, at the first time, switch will broadcast the data into whole network. Why it will broadcast into whole network? Because switch don't know about any system MAC address. First time it will forward to all the devices in the network. Then after that it will know about MAC address of that specific devices. So when you will forward data next time, it will know about the MAC address of that device. That's why it will not broadcast it second time. So by the use of VLAN, we can create multiple broadcast domain in our network. VLAN provide layer 2 security also. By using VLAN, we can create a security in our switch. By default, all ports of switch are in VLAN 1. If we see the VLAN in our switch, we have by default created VLAN 1 and all the ports are in VLAN 1. When VLAN 1 is known as administrative VLAN, you will see VLAN 1 that will be called administrative VLAN. By default it is administrative VLAN, or we can say it management VLAN. VLAN can be created from 2 to 1005. Why it can be created from 2 to 1005? Because we have VLAN 1 as administrative VLAN or management VLAN. So we cannot delete or create VLAN 1. It is by default already created. Now VLAN information is stored in VLAN.dat date format in our flash memory of switch. So here is the small information or overview of VLAN that we have to remember. And after that we will see the configuration of VLAN in switches.